Welcome to this PalWorld guide on how to make cake. First, in order to even make cake, you're going to need a technology. You have to be level 17 and unlock the cooking pot. This will allow you to cook more recipes, including the cake. Once you have the cooking pot, you can go ahead and look at the recipe, which is going to be right here. One cake requires 5 flour, 8 red berries, so not the cooked berries, and 7 milk, 8 eggs, and 2 honey. It's a pretty complex recipe, but it is beneficial for breeding, so let's go ahead and make it. In order to get the red berries, you're going to need a berry plantation, just like this. Having 2 of them is usually enough to have an infinite supply of red berries. You can get the red berry technology very early on at level 5 with the berry plantation, and then you're just going to need pals that can do certain skills for farming really quickly. You're going to need to have that little green plant right there, which is like planting, and then you're going to need to have the hand icon, which is harvesting, and then you're gonna need somebody who has the water little teacup pour thing. Then I don't have the name off the top of my head, but that's gonna be watering. And then you're gonna need somebody who also has the box icon, which is transporting. So with all of those skills in mind, then you can actually start having a red berry farm, and then you'll have that part of the recipe. For flour, you're gonna need wheat. You can buy it or you can get it from certain pals after capturing them. You can get wheat seeds, and then once you get those wheat seeds from the pals or you bought the wheat seeds, you can have a wheat farm going. Then you have to be level 15 at least to get the wheat farm or wheat plantation technology. Then you can plant maybe like 1. I think 1 is usually pretty good, or you could do 2 depending on how much cake you're trying to make. And then you can go ahead and start getting wheat growing. Once you get wheat growing, then you can turn that wheat into flour at the mill technology. Just in case you missed the mill, it's actually at level 15 right next to it. You can get the mill, and then this is pretty much just going to convert your wheat into flour right here to a 3:1 ratio. Then that's wheat, that's red berries. In order to get milk, you're going to need a very specific pal, and it looks like a cow. So pretty much the main way to get milk is to capture a cow and then to put it at your base to start farming milk. But you can also find it at some of the merchants. So if you were to go to the small settlement over here, this is kind of like the first starting settlement. You can look around there and see if any of the merchants are going to be selling milk. But ideally, if you're going to be making lots of cake over a long time, you kind of want a infinite resource of it, unless you're swimming in gold. So we should head over to one of these areas, and then we can catch ourselves a cow. Another way is if you're swimming in money, you could just buy the cow from this wandering merchant here from this pal merchant at the settlement that I showed on the map earlier, the first settlement. Let me see if this merchant sells milk. Yes, this merchant does sell milk for 50, so you could also get milk this way. You could also get the wheat this way to make into the flour, and you can also get your wheat seeds this way. You can also get your eggs, your red berries, pretty much anything you need, everything you need for the cake, you can kind of just buy here. But mainly, if you want infinite supply of it from your pals, I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how to do that. So let's go catch a cow. Alright, so really quickly, I traveled over to Sealed Realm of the Swordmaster on the map here. And if you're looking for the coordinates, I'll put it in the bottom left, -108, -468. And you can see there's 2 cows right here, Moserinas, and I'm gonna go ahead and catch one, and then I'll show you what we can do at the camp. Boom, we only really need 1 since we're gonna go with the farming method, and you can see I got a milk from it. So if you want to just get some temporary milk to craft like 1 cake, you could just catch a bunch of these guys. But ideally, you capture it and you don't kill it, that way you can take it back to your camp. One tip for trying to get any of these pals is that you can always travel away and travel back, and it'll reset what pals are spawned around you. So if you're looking for cows, you don't really need to leave the TP point too far, just to speed up the process. I'll have a YouTube guide on how to get all of these stuff in my description, except for the red berries, which I'll explain in this video, and the milk I'll explain in this video. Honey, you have to hunt certain pals as well. And eggs you also get from like a chickpea pal. I'll go ahead and show the pals really quickly in this video, but if you want a full guide on how to get it and farm it infinitely, then you can watch the videos in the description. So we need this guy for milk. We're gonna need this bee guard for honey. We need this chickpea for the eggs, like a cinnamoth will give you wheat seeds. Yeah, so once you capture all of those, you can see we have a chickpea here, we have a bee guard, and then we can go ahead and put the cow here as well. Boom, so we have the cow going in. So now with the cow here, we'll have the chicken there, and then we'll have the bee guard. We'll be getting all the supplies that we need. We have the red berries and the wheat growing for the rest of this stuff. for the cake. And then ideally you have a freezer, which can help prolong the life of these items here. And to maintain a freezer, you're going to also need a pallet with the kind of like snowflake icon. And this technology is unlocked right here at level 13. You get the cooler box. It doesn't make it so that they don't expire at all, but it does just extend the time by a lot at which they expire. Eggs are up now up to 100 minutes instead of the usual. Like if I put this in my inventory, it's only 10 minutes, but if I put it in here, it's 99 minutes. So pretty good. Also, there's a current bug that you can exploit if you want, where if you hit the sort button, it'll refresh the timer. Yeah, like this milk right here, 6:30, if it hits sorts, it's now back to 10 minutes. So let's go and throw that in there. Look, 99 minutes, pretty good to just store anything that you're gonna need for the recipe. One tip that I have is that your pals with transporting are going to be transporting all of the stuff that they lay and all the stuff that they produce straight to the feeder box, which is not what we want, because we do not want our pals to be eating these, and also they'll deteriorate really fast in here. So to alleviate that, we're going to go ahead and use a little trick that I came up with. We can put these in here. We're going to need the honey for the trick. I would take something non-perishable that you can put in the feeder box. Honey is a good example. So what we'll do is we're going to fill the rest of these slots with honey. And when we do this, pals eat from left to right, so they're not really going to get through all of these baked berries. I'll keep refilling these baked berries so that they never get to the honey. But this also makes the feed box full, so the next best spot that the pals or prio for the transport is going to be this cooler box. So that way all of these goods will stay in here and they won't get eaten up. And then we can use it to make as much cake as possible. Now, cake does take a long time to cook, so hopefully you have a really high level pal that can kindle really well. Personally, I don't have any pals that can kindle very well. I only have kindle level 1 on this character, but I'll go ahead and show on screen really quick some pals that you want to look for in order to get high level kindling, and they'll cook your cake much faster. So really quickly, I'm just going to go ahead and talk about the best fire types for kindling in case you're interested. I might as well include it in the guide, and I'll show the location of where you can get them. So the first one that has the best is Drummondtide Ignis, and you can only find them on this little island right here. Next up we have this hawk right here. This hawk has really good blazing as well, or kindling, and you can find them in the lava region. So again, it's going to be a little bit for the end game, or at least like level 40s, I believe. Next is going to be this one, Phalaris, which is going to be found on the opposite end over here, only in this spot. I think this one's a bit more accessible. Let me see. We have Blazamut. Oh, Blazamut's only found in the same area over here as well, but has really good kindling. Next is Suzaku. This one right here, Suzaku, which can be found all over in the desert region over here on this side of the map. Then I think it's this one that my friends caught. Yeah, this one. This one is kind of more accessible in a way because you don't really have to go into the fire region. You can kind of go to the shores right here and catch some of them, and they have really good mining and kindling. And then we have a Blaze Howl. These are all the ones that are like really good for kindling and like well known. Just trying to help you guys out. Blaze Howl is gonna be a little bit more endgame as well, also in the volcanic region. And then of course, if you can't get any of those, we got Fox Parks, which is like level 1 kindling, but you can get it really early on to at least get your cake started. But I think by the time you're making cake, you should honestly be able to get kind of reach into some of these regions and maybe get the higher level kindling. Might take a dangerous trip, but it's worth it. One last tip before I sign off on this video is that your cake also has an expiration timer, so you could stick it in the cooler. But if you have, I don't have one built quite yet on this save, but if you had a breeding farm set up, there's a little box that is built on the outside of the breeding farm near the fence, and that actually has no food expiring when you put cake in there. So if you put any cake in there for breeding, the cake will just stay in there and it'll be infinitely there until the cake is used for the breeding. So it's best to just store your cake there. That way your pals don't end up eating it if it accidentally goes to the feed, or it doesn't, accidentally expire in the cooler box if you don't have somebody who is keeping the cooler box cool. So yeah, just put it in the breeding pen and you'll be good to go. And I think that's pretty much it for this guide. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please let me know in the comment section below. But otherwise, until next time.